Recording has started.
Okay, so welcome everyone. This is the Kiali version 1.52. We are going to summarize what we've working on the Sprint 74. As usual, we comment the summary of the tasks. Also, we do a pretty quick highlights of the version 1.52. I expect to do a walkthrough of the big features. And also, we will have a community discussions commenting what what are the big areas that we are going to work in the next weeks and months, right? So so Sprint 74. So this sprint was also focused on user interface fixes and scalability topics. So as usual, if you go to the GitHub project, you will see all level of details. All the issues are pull requests that has been merged. Most of them fixes and hardening the user interface. We are just finishing the migration to the new version of the Patternfly 4. Patternfly is our main component UI components framework that we base our user interface. And yeah, you can see all the activity that we have here, right? So for the Sprint 74 highlights, I would say that we have a lot of minor issues, right? Not very big feature, big relevant feature, but minor issues. I guess I can show you a quick walkthrough that you can expect, right? So as commented, we upgraded the Patternfly framework to the new version. So that brings some minor styling changes. And we try to update the font sizing, the badges, to try to align it. So you will not see any big difference, but some more aligned styles with the frame, right? So in the overview page, you will see the feature with the font sizes aligned as well. In the graph, you will see that some of the font sizes have been synced to have a better consistency between the style of the component, the style of the side panel, the style of the graph. So things like that. The application, for example, you will see things like the badges has been updated to the same style of the framework that the framework proposed. So more aligned in terms of the styles, but not significant change in the feature, right? But you will see a couple of styling changes about that. Right, more minor fixes, for example, with the new versions, some minor fixes about the tooltips. So thank you, Yasune, for this change about that. When also I integrate and correlate all the tracings, we will see that also the tracings will be now, the tooltips to be available. If I try to move to the trace versions, I will see that all the tooltips, all the the styles have been integrated. Let me go to application with errors. Okay, for example, this one W server that I can show, for example, in this cases, all the styles have been updated to the new framework, right? As well, if I go to the wizards, right? So some minor change, align the change with the new framework as usual. And yeah, so all the features about the validation has been updated. Okay, so yeah, you can see the new styles in the application, right? But not big change, but a lot of minor fixes in the UI that take time. You can see all the summary in the project, but we try just to make now a pretty robust and solid, consistent change to the Patternfly framework. So thank you all the people that worked on this effort, because I know it was not easy just to update all these minor things on the styling. All right, so yeah, what's next? What are the big areas that the team are working? And we wanted just to mention this in the session, just to give visibility to the community and for feedback, right? So we are going to continue the efforts focus on scalability, right? We are going to try to working on to create a good environment where we can test more realistic scenarios to try to align with what our customers or users are are providing feedback. So this is why we are working for that. So it's a very good time if you have some kind of scenario. For example, we have some we base a lot in the Kiali demos repo. But if you have any specific workload that you say, I would like to test this kind of traffic, gRPC, HTTPD, or any other kind of workload that could be of your interest, something that we would like to know, right? So we are going to investigate how to improve the message collection. Right? We are going to also investigating how to improve the log handling and also how to improve the performance of the validation on big scenario. I'm going just to ask my colleagues, to Jay, Nick, if they would like to comment more details about this effort. They are leading also this effort. Jay, Nick, some comments about this?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say what we're doing here is we've been talking about scalability improvements for a little while now. People that have been following these releases would know that we already went through one big scalability set of work that had to do a lot with the visualizations for larger graphs. We did a lot of work in the health calculation area. I guess we would call this phase 2. So initially we attacked the things that we knew were definite problems, and now we're I'll let Nick talk in a second about what we're trying to do around a repeatable performance testing environment, but we're now going to do more second level investigation into, where are the bottlenecks, where can we get the best bang for the buck, and where can we really, get to that next level for at least single cluster scalability. Nick, did you have anything you wanted to add? Maybe we don't have Nick.
Yeah, I heard we have some problem with the audio. But yeah, thank you, Jay, for the summary. Yes. Again, so also one topic that we are working a lot is to improving the logic and the validation side as well. So I don't know, Hike, are you around here? You can comment something about your investigation?
Yeah. Thank you, Lucas. The idea is that as the validations are supporting cross namespace configuration validations, so it makes sense to have a single validation request per all namespaces, because anyway it is considering invalidation of one namespace objects, considering all the other objects. So the performance improvement is to have single request which will have validations for all namespaces, and it will save the time, and all those resources are loaded from the Istio registry, which is faster than requesting them from Kubernetes.
So yeah, thank you, Hyde, for your comment. Just also as well is that if people from the community or users are interested in this, we would like to know how many or what is your pattern from the Istio configuration. If you put destination rules by default, by all the workloads, or only what those are necessary, etc. We would like to know this kind of pattern of use cases that will help us a lot to improve and to add more value into Kiali.
Hey, Lucas, let me just speak a moment more about the third bullet on the previous slide, which is it says investigating metric thinning. What that is all about is, this sort of realization that Istio generates a lot of metrics by default, as does Envoy. So these metrics are constantly streaming into your Prometheus database, and those databases can grow pretty quickly and get pretty large. And as that, what we've seen, at least even without a lot of analysis, is that you can see slowdowns in performance as that database grows. Not only that, the users have to have the storage and the tuning there. So we want to look a lot into that area. Can we reduce the amount of metrics being stored, if you're only interested really in using Prometheus, Kiali, for example, with those metrics. So that's what that means with regards to thinning. We're also going to be looking at Prometheus tuning and so forth, maybe some recommendations or best practices. And again, in the community, if you guys already have some experience with this, we would love to hear any suggestions or any information that you have in this area.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, Nick. Glad
Okay.
you are back.
Yeah, sorry. I would just add, y'all pretty much covered all the scalability stuff, but pretty much adding on to what Jay was saying, for scalability, if you have if you in the community have data points around this, then that would also be helpful. So Kiali has a bunch of different settings that you can use to instrument Kiali itself and enable those. Some of those are off by default, but you can enable those, and getting those data points on where to make the best performance fixes would be very helpful.
Nice. So yeah, thank you, Nick, for the comments. Yeah, again, yes, it's something that we are going to be pretty active, and you will see discussion happening on the Kiali Istio Slack mostly. So everyone is welcome to jump in and participate on it, just to provide us more feedback on how we can drive this effort. Yeah, just continue with, I guess we are mostly covering the summary, some more miscellaneous comment is that, we focus in the UI fixes, minor fixes, but a lot, just to make sure that, the user interface with the new pattern framework update is solid. Also, some tasks about removal of obsolete validation. Remember, so Kiali started validation at the beginning of the Istio project. Some of the validation that Kiali proposed are now part of the Istio core Galei service. So that means that we don't need it in Kiali. It's not going to add value, because you cannot create some Istio config objects with this malform. So that we are remove this kind of obsolete, and we are keep reviewing what makes more sense and what add more value. So more graph side panel tooltips additions. We are trying to review if all information that we show in Kiali is clear from the user perspective. When you see a data, you have the context, you understand what this what this data means in the context that we are seeing, and something unhealthy, something with some kind of a status about what is the situation of this particular workload, what this means, this connection with this case, etc. Right? We are keeping putting in a very good state the CI. So remember, now we have a pretty good user interface test suite with implemented in the Cypress framework. So we are increasing the Cypress coverage as we presented in previous sprints. Now the idea is, just as long as we add new features or we change any or we resolve, we fix some bug, the idea is also to increase the coverage as regular tasks. So all the pull requests, you will see that now increase the coverage on all the testing, the API testing, and also the user interface, which is what we are going to focus. Again, so it's a continuous effort, but good to say, you will see more work just improving the upstream pipelines, just to make sure that every time that we have a pull request, all these pipelines work well. Also, we can release from the upstream GitHub Actions all that we need, and it's solid, right? It's something that we don't have any kind of problem. Also, we are improving all the dependent.security warnings. So it's something that we are taking a look at it to be sure that we update or code with the recommendation about security warnings and so on. It's still a work in progress, but we are improving, and we will try to make more often updates in that site. And yeah, that is mostly what I have. Just a reminder, I guess that if I'm not wrong, the plan is that we will slightly change the date of the release. Instead to be on Fridays, end of the day of the Pacific time, we will try to do that on Monday, right? Leandro, can you confirm? Okay.
Yeah. I think that we already mentioned in another meeting, but yeah, it's worth to mention again that we are releasing on the Mondays after the spring is ending. And we are also moving the time early so more people can use the release on the Monday. So it will be 7 a.m. UTC, and it's, for example, 9 a.m. CEST. So it's pretty early that it will be available. Thanks, Lucas.
Yeah, thank you for the date. And yes, and I guess that's mostly was the summary for this sprint and summary for this version. I'm going to stop the recording.